Hello again. Let's look at order of operations. Sound good? The first two review worksheets that you've got are dealing with order of operations. So hopefully, like I said, these are all supposed to be review. There's not supposed to be a bunch of new stuff that you're learning about. Here, I'm going to turn this. Try to get the glare off of there. Okay, that's a little bit better. Got a lot of windows in this room, so that makes it kind of hard. There's hopefully nothing new in these that you're going to be looking at. Hopefully it's all just review stuff. So let's look at order of operations, remember how it works, and then I'm going to do just a couple of examples just to help you refresh. So order of operations, the first one, it's please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, right? The first one is parentheses, or any grouping symbols. Right, so that could be if you've got, absolute values, if you've got a fraction bar, remember that fraction bar groups that stuff that's up on top. The E stands for exponents. Right, exponents is that next piece. So once you've done everything inside of your grouping symbols, then you take care of any exponents that you see. The next, this is multiply and divide left to right. Remember, we've looked at this before, this M and D. A lot of times you'll see PEMD with one in front of the other, but instead we put them next to each other because these ones happen at the same time from left to right. Move that closer for you. Okay, and then the last one is addition and subtraction. So we've got hold on, I'm just going to try another X. Addition and subtraction, once again, from left to right. Okay, so let's see if we can practice this with a couple of examples. All right. I'm going to start off with one that's pretty simple. Right? So I've got 3 minus 6 times 8. And I've got to think about my order of operations. Yes? Do you want to say hi? It's going to be my Math 1 students. You can, yeah. My daughter wants to say hi. All right. Bye, Allie.
Bye.
Okay. Yes, working from home is fun. All right. So the first thing we look for is, are there any parentheses? No. Any exponents? No. There is multiplication and division. So this piece right here is what I have to do first. So I'm going to start off with 6 times 8, which is 48. So I've got 3 minus 48, and that's going to end up being not 3 anymore because I've just done my 3 minus 48. So that's a negative 45. Right? Hopefully that one's pretty simple. Let me grab my eraser, and let's look at another one. Let's look at one that's maybe a little bit more complicated. I've got 2 minus 3, and then parentheses, 20 minus 3 times 3 and parentheses. Okay, so with this one, we've got to think about what we're going to do first. We always start off looking for grouping symbols, and this time we've got some, right? So with these grouping symbols, I'm going to have to do what's inside of here first. And whenever I'm dealing with it, I've got to go back to my list now and say, okay, what do I do in here first? And in that case, it's going to be this, because this is my multiplication. So I multiply first. And as you're doing these problems, make sure to be rewriting it as you go, because otherwise it's going to be really, really easy to lose track of where you're at. And it would be easy for me to maybe not write all of this down and then forget to have that 2 minus in front of it at the end. So we want to make sure write everything down as you go. Now I'm going to do my subtraction. So I've got 2 minus 3 times, in parentheses, 11. So 2 minus, once again, doing my multiplication first. 2 minus 33 gives me a negative 31. Okay, so let's look at this one more time. Here I did parentheses first, and then I multiplied, right? And then I did my subtraction here, and then I multiplied, and then I subtracted to get my final answer. Okay, let's look at one that's a little bit more complicated. One that's got an exponent thrown in there. This is fun. All right, so what do I do first? Well, we're going to start with parentheses, right? We want to take care of our parentheses. And so let's do that and rewrite. So I've got 11 minus 3 times 2. 1 minus 4 is a negative 3 squared. Okay. The next thing, my parentheses are all gone. I still have them here, but they're just kind of holding those pieces together. And so now I have to deal with exponents. And this negative 3 squared is something that I want to look at down here at the bottom for a second. Because negative 3 squared, I want to expand that. It's negative 3 times negative 3, right? Because my negative is inside of my parentheses here. So this whole thing is squared. But I could have something that looks like this. And you are going to see this where you're given just a number and a negative number and then an exponent. And you've got to figure out, does that negative belong to the exponent or not? And if I don't have parentheses grouping it, then all that this is a negative, and then I've got my 3 squared. So 3 times 3. These give two very different answers here, right? In this case, my negatives cancel out and I've just got a 9. But in this case, my negatives do not cancel out and I've got a negative 9. Okay? The top case is the one that we've got here, but you are going to see both examples showing up in your practice worksheets. So that means that this part right here just becomes a 9. So I've got 11 minus 3 times 2 times 9, right? You could either use parentheses to continue to group that, or if you wanted to, you could just write it with that multiplication symbol. Doesn't matter. And now I need to think about what to do next. I have a bunch of multiplication. And remember, with multiplication, we can do it left to right. We could also do it a couple pieces together. I'm going to go left to right with this one because that's going to make it a little bit easier. It's going to be 6 times 9. So then I've got 11 minus 54. And so that's going to be a negative 43, I think. Yes. All right. So hopefully this was enough to kind of get you up to par with order of operations. You might see a couple of other things like absolute value on there. And so if I've got like the absolute value of 3 minus 2, remember the first thing that we've got to do is treat them like a grouping symbol. And so I would have an absolute value of 1. Anything that's in here is going to become positive. So if it's already positive, my answer is just a 1. But if I had the absolute value of, say, negative 7, then a positive 7 is what would pop out of there. But you have to take care of the operation that's inside of there first. We can't make that turn into a positive. Instead, we've got to take care of what's inside here first and then do our absolute value. Okay? So hopefully this is good enough for those first 2 worksheets for order of operations. Good luck. And remember, let me know. Please, you can leave comments on the videos. You can email me. You can message me in Google Classroom. Whatever it is that you need to do to get a hold of me if you need more examples or if you need more help. All right. Thank you. See you later.